friends. Thanks for hanging out today. So, I wanted to keep this kind of quick and dirty. It just occurred to me to do this yesterday. I thought it'd be fun because today is the last day of July, as I'm sure y'all are aware. And we have these bonuses that we offer for folks that LP in the Seeds Ether pool, which is effectively our mutual aid pool, which allows us to help people in need all around the world, even if they don't have traditional bank accounts. So we get a lot of questions about how specifically to do this. We've had video demonstrations on our website for years, which we update every year, but it can totally seem confusing. I completely get that. And it really only takes a few minutes once you know what you're doing and once you have the cryptocurrency that you need to use in your self custody wallet. So I thought, maybe it'd be helpful to actually walk through a little bit of a demonstration and talk more about what it means in a short demo today. Hi, this year. Thanks for joining us. So, to start, let's see. If we don't know one another, I'm Rachel, and I'm the founder of Seeds, which is an entirely new economic ecosystem working to transcend the failings in the old ecosystem. And the core tenet of that is that through Seeds, you can actually build abundance, you can build wealth through helping others. So, as we know, that's not possible in the old system. And I think I've been thinking more about the philosophy of this and trying to talk about it in a little bit more detail recently on YouTube. Sorry, let me grab, there's like okay, there we go. My light was off. Um, yeah, I've been trying to break down specifically what I've seen not working in the old economic system because I used to be a pro stock trader and I've been in the tech sector for many years now. And in breaking that down, we can address the problems that have made the old economic system, I think for most people, really not very functional. We've outgrown a lot of what the old economic system can do. And I think upon reflecting that the core problem in the old economic system comes down to the fact that it's grounded in this idea that we as participants in that system exclusively act out of self-interest, but we know that's not the case, right? Like we're all doing things. Many of us spend most of our days taking action that is in service to others and, helping out friends and family, our kids, our siblings, our parents, whatever, people in our community, strangers as well. And the old economic system just does not have a space for that. It's grounded in this idea, dating back to The Wealth of Nations, which Adam Smith published in March of 1776. So this is a long ass time ago. And he talks about this idea that, it's not by virtue of the benevolence that the brewer, the baker, I'm paraphrasing this quote poorly, the brewer, the baker, the somebody else is providing our dinner, but they're doing so because of their regard to their own self interest. And Adam Smith wrote those words while he was living with his mother, which he did for most of his adult life. So the people that were providing his dinner were the people in his mother's house. His mother was the one who was responsible for feeding her child. And I think it's funny and also tragically sad that this person who's thought to be the father of modern economics, who's still credited with that like title, his mother was taking this action for him every day, and that feminine contribution was invisible to him. And as a result, we're still living in this economic system that sees feminine contribution and also just general acts of selflessness as they're completely invisible within the old economic system, which is why we have to have nonprofits in the first place. So that's what Seeds is working to transcend. I mean, I think when you break it down that way, it just seems so stupid, right? It doesn't make any sense. It's not aligned with how humans actually behave. The old economic system assumes that humans are rational. We know that that's often not true. So it's just founded in these principles that I think are not only outdated, but I think weren't very aligned with human behavior ever. I mean, that system has served its purpose. It's allowed for growth in certain ways. It's also created a lot of problems that I think society has reached a stage at which it's time for us to outgrow. So I see there's some stuff in the chat. Got Bryce here. Hello. On both phones. Cool. Yeah, so we'll hop in here really quickly. As I said, this can be done truly in a few minutes once you know what you're doing, but you do have to get set up. So, yeah, just to talk a little bit more about why this matters. When you're LPing, when you're becoming a liquidity provider in the Seeds Mutual Aid Pool, the Seeds Ether pool, what that means is that you're taking cryptocurrency that you already own, Seeds and Ether specifically, and you can use those to generate yourself a passive income to earn fees and potentially earn other bonuses and even surprise money through airdrops sometimes. I talk about how I was kicking myself in 2020, late 2020, because there was a huge airdrop, a surprise airdrop in the cryptocurrency uni. And it was given to people that had become LPs, that had done what I'm about to show you how to do. And I'd done that. I'd used a lot of my cryptocurrency to LP, but for some reason that, like, no reason really, I had a bunch of cryptocurrency just sitting in my wallet, like doing nothing, that I just hadn't LP'd. And afterward, I was kicking myself because, like, no joke, y'all, if I had LP'd all the cryptocurrency I had, I would have gotten enough free money in this airdrop to buy like a nice ass house in the States. So don't be like me, is the moral of the story. Airdrops like that don't happen in the same way anymore. The sector has changed a lot. In 4 years, it changes super rapidly, but you can still get free money in airdrops. And I think my most recent surprise free money through airdrops, because I LP, came like, I think it was in like January of this year. And it was like a surprise, like 4,000 bucks or something, which was great. It's awesome when you can get free money out of nowhere. So outside of that, the bigger sort of goal and the mission of Seeds is about helping people understand that helping others and building abundance yourself, building wealth yourself, not only don't have to be mutually exclusive things, but they shouldn't be mutually exclusive, because that's just not how humans operate. And I think it's very of this outdated idea from the old system that I talked about relating to Adam Smith. In the chat, I see Tyeb says discussion about what? Not sure what you're asking. If you want to clarify your question, I'm glad. I'm glad to try to answer. Yeah, but when we're specifically talking about LPing in the Seeds Mutual Aid Pool, the Seeds Ether pool, what you're doing is you're using cryptocurrency that maybe otherwise would just be chilling in your wallet doing nothing. You put it in the Seeds Ether pool. You still retain full custody of that at all times. You can remove it anytime you want. But in doing that, as I said, you can generate passive income through fees, through potential bonuses. Seeds offers a bonus for those who LP. You can win up to 50% of the amount of Ether you LP, which I'll talk more about, and also through potential free airdrops. But then on top of that, because you've LP'd in the Seeds Ether pool, the Seeds Mutual Aid pool, like that's what's allowed our community to help folks like you see in this picture. So if you see like this older lady with the walker and the kids standing behind her, this is Kana Piaf and her grandmother in South Sudan, and she didn't have the funds to continue going to school. So she used Seeds to get the help that she needed, and our community was able to send it to her, and she was able to redeem it because this mutual aid pool exists. In South Sudan, you know, it's a new country. I think it was established in 2011 after a lot of communal fighting. And I just talked to someone in the Seeds community who lives in South Sudan a couple days ago. I actually interviewed him on video, so I'm going to release it on YouTube. It was interesting. And yeah, he confirmed that the government there has not issued women IDs. Now there's another initiative for uh, like a mobile phone company to help with this. But because the government didn't issue women IDs, they couldn't open bank accounts. So they can't, what are they supposed to do? They're just entirely dependent on the men around them. But because Seeds uses digital currency and blockchain tools, decentralized tools, we can send funds directly to the mobile phones of people like Kana Piaf in South Sudan, and they can use those funds. So it really kind of leapfrogs this dysfunction in the old system that has left so many people excluded, because it's just the design is flawed in some enormous ways. Yeah, so you can see here Alexis, a US military vet, Seeds actually gave her the money to buy a new mobile home. New to her, it was like a used mobile home. And at the time, that was our biggest gift. We sent her over $10,000. And again, the mutual aid pool that you're contributing to if you're an LP is what makes that possible. If you see the people around the water in the back, this is at like an area in South Sudan where they had dug a well and UN aid had come in to help them dig it. But then they pieced out and left this giant mud puddle. So people had to stand in this huge puddle to get the water that they needed. So they redeemed a seed to ask for help to pave the area around that water pump. And Seeds was able to help them out again because of the Seeds Ether mutual aid pool. And then the other family here that you can see, this is a family that was in danger of homelessness, and Seeds has been able to help out a number of folks who were at risk of homelessness over the years. And yeah, like I'm saying again, this is all possible because of the nice people who take the action who take the few minutes to become LPs, and at the same time you can make money with your cryptocurrency. So it really is a win-win. Just to share this too, I want to make sure to manage expectations and that this is not specific to the Seeds Ether mutual aid pool that I'm going to talk about today, but you can use the skills that I'm about to show you in this demonstration in any pool that exists on Uniswap's platform. We're going to look at Uniswap. There are other platforms that also facilitate this now as well, but Uniswap really pioneered it. The only pool that you're actually helping people in need while using is the Seeds Ether pool that we'll show you. But just so you're aware that this also exists as an option, this is a result that I personally got while becoming an LP in the Ether Bitcoin pool. So you can see at the top left, it says ETH/WBTC. This is the Ether Bitcoin pool on Uniswap. So you can see I had $55,000 in liquidity. And then where it says unclaimed fees, it's over $1,400. And I made this in like 10 days. So if you annualize that, it's a return of, I think, like 96% if you're able to sustain those returns. So that's the other thing that's awesome about this in terms of potentially earning fees. You're not going to earn fees like this, to be clear, in the Seeds Ether pool at this time because it's much, much smaller. The Ether Bitcoin pool is one of the biggest pools, one of the largest pools in terms of trade volume on Uniswap, and trade volume is what generates fees. But I just want you to know that this is possible. Like, this was a really sick return to make over $1,400 in 10 days from funds that I, just had sitting around that I wasn't otherwise using. So this gets to the reason behind Uniswap existing, Uniswap's design. Just to say this quickly in a nutshell, what's so exciting about Uniswap is that they figured out a way to create a decentralized marketplace for cryptocurrency when no one else had figured out how to do it without, excuse me, without a reliance on rich people to put up the capital to allow for frictionless trade on an exchange. So this was a huge development because they figured out that, like, instead of relying on a handful of rich guys to put up the money to make an exchange run, what if we design a way to allow everybody to put up their cryptocurrency, to retain custody of it at the same time, but then to generate fees as traders execute trades using that liquidity, instead of those fees going to the same rich people that they've always gone to. I hope that doesn't sound too confusing, but I just want to impress upon you that there have only been a handful of developments in the cryptocurrency sector since I got involved in 2013 that I've been excited about. And when Uniswap figured out this problem that now the solution now allows us to LP, I was super fucking stoked because it essentially solves an issue in banking that has to do with centralized control and, like, rich people just getting richer, that wasn't possible before this technology existed. So it really gets around one of the big problems in the old economic system, I would say. Um, I don't know how much I should go into explaining that. It doesn't look like there are questions or anything, but yeah, in a nutshell, every other exchange, the New York Stock Exchange, centralized cryptocurrency exchanges like Coinbase, those work because rich people put up the cryptocurrency or the stock or whatever to allow for frictionless trade on those exchanges. And then the exchanges earn fees. The traders pay the exchanges fees. Whenever you LP on Uniswap, like I did here in the Ether Bitcoin pool, I earn those fees. And so did everybody else who had added liquidity to that pool. So when you're LPing in the Seeds mutual aid pool, you're earning those trading fees as well, in addition to the other potential like positives that I mentioned, like airdrops, bonuses, and yeah, that's it. Fees, airdrops, and bonuses, which is awesome. And at the same time, you're helping people in need when you do this in the Seeds mutual aid pool specifically. Okay, so if we're diving into how this works, the first thing that you need to make sure you have is a self-custody wallet. We know a wallet is self-custody if we have access to the private key or the mnemonic for that wallet and nobody else has access to that. Another platform should not have access to your key. So the wallet that we've recommended now for years is the Coinbase self-custody wallet, not to be confused with, again, the Coinbase centralized exchange that I mentioned. So again, you know that it's self-custody if you have that key or mnemonic that allows you to access the wallet. So this is the website for their tool. It's free and whatever. I don't like Coinbase. I've never been a fan of them. I think they treat customers poorly, and I've had bad experiences with them myself. But I think that they make a good enough product, and I've never had issues using this tool. And it tends to be a little bit more beginner friendly and easy, I think, to use as you're stepping into the cryptocurrency sector, which is why we've recommended it. So let me put this in the chat just so you have this link. Okay, so once you've created this wallet, which just takes a minute, it's like you can download the app and then you'll have the wallet. Once you have this wallet, we're gonna go to, um, we'll start here. So this is a centralized cryptocurrency exchange. Do I even want to show y'all them? We can stick with Coinbase's centralized exchange, I guess. Okay, so you can go to coinbase.com, which again, to distinguish this, is their centralized exchange. And I can't show you this on their platform. What you need to do is minimally, you need to get some ether, some of the cryptocurrency ether. Okay, so let's go like this. So the way that people typically acquire ether at this stage of the game, there are things you could do like becoming a validator. Um, but what most people are going to do now is you're going to buy a cryptocurrency like Ether on a centralized exchange like the Coinbase centralized exchange. And the reason that centralized exchanges like Coinbase even exist is because, hey, Paul, what's up? I think it's pretty late for you in India, but it's nice to see you. Thanks for joining. Um, yeah, so you want to use a centralized exchange. Coinbase is available in, I think, over 100 countries now. So there's a likelihood if you're watching that it would be available in your country. Again, I think they treat customers really poorly, but the product is okay. And we're kind of forced to use some of these tools right now until more decentralization is available for more people. So you need to get Ether. So you can do that on Coinbase's centralized platform, and you can do it, as I was starting to say, the reason that centralized exchanges like Coinbase exist. Kraken is another centralized exchange. Binance is a big centralized exchange, the biggest one in the world. I don't recommend using Binance because I don't think the product is good, and also they don't treat people well either, and they're just shady. I mean, like their founder, I think he had to do a jail sentence recently. So we want to use centralized exchanges to buy cryptocurrency with our local fiat currency, whether it's the rupee or the USD or the GBP or the AUD, the South Sudanese pound, whatever currency is being used where you live, you can use centralized exchanges to buy cryptocurrency with your local fiat currency. That's their purpose. But then a best practice is to get your money off of that centralized exchange and into your self-custody wallet. So here again, this is the link that I posted in the chat to allow you to create a self-custody wallet if you don't already have one. And again, it's a self-custody wallet if you have access to the private key or the mnemonic for that wallet. And the reason we want to get our cryptocurrency off of centralized exchanges and into a self-custody wallet right away is because, like, any news story you've read, virtually any, there have been a couple exceptions, virtually any negative news story you've read about cryptocurrency, especially in the last like 2 years, if you've read about FTX, Binance's trouble as well, man, Celsius, Voyager, BlockFi, all of those failures, which unfortunately the news media reported as though, like, they made it seem like all of cryptocurrency was a scam because these people essentially fucked their customers over. And it was really annoying for Seeds because we got lumped in with that. And so it made it harder for us to raise money for people in need. But the thing is, all of those failures that you may have heard about in the news, they were all centralized failures. They were all failures of centralized exchanges, with the exception of Do which is a different thing that I think it isn't worth going into in this particular video. So that just means that the idea is that we want to get our cryptocurrency off of centralized exchanges because many of them historically have failed. And we don't want to put our funds at risk. And when we hold our funds in a self-custody wallet, we have control over them. We actually retain the custody of those funds. And somebody like an FTX can't do something fraudulent and end up losing our money. So it's really, really important to remember this as a best practice, and it's something that you want to do as much as you can. Occasionally you're going to need to leave a little bit of money on a centralized exchange sometimes if you're more actively trading, but in general you want to get it into your self-custody wallet as soon as possible. Okay, so if you bought some ether and you've gotten it into your self-custody wallet, let me actually show you really quickly. Okay, this will show this window, right? Yeah. Okay, so another wallet that I frequently use is the MetaMask self-custody wallet, which I'll use in this demonstration, but its user experience is worse than Coinbase's. It's maybe a little more advanced. It's an older wallet, so those are the reasons that I haven't recommended using MetaMask, especially if you're a beginner, but I will use it here. It's easier to see, like if I'm trying to do a demonstration on my laptop like I'm doing right now. So you're aware of this. Within your wallet, you're going to have an address to receive various cryptocurrencies. You can typically, like, click to copy that wallet address. And when you're moving funds from a centralized exchange like Coinbase, you'll see that you can transfer that. I can't show you here. This is just the price page. Coinbase, when I'm talking about bad customer service on Coinbase, like Coinbase literally won't let me use their platform anymore. And when I asked them why, they just didn't reply/explain. So that's also the bad behavior that we can see on centralized exchanges that just doesn't happen on decentralized exchanges like Uniswap. Uniswap can't do that to somebody. You can use it as long as you have an internet connection at this stage in the game. There may be like other regulatory things that come into play that could change that as like governments are becoming more aware of cryptocurrency. But that's part of the beauty of decentralized platforms. You can just use them. So this is Uniswap's platform, the decentralized tool that we're going to talk about today. I'm going to put this in the chat as well. Paul's like, yes, it's late, but I work for a US client and I do an EST shift. Interesting. Huh. That makes for, wow, your sleep schedule must be all out of whack. I used to work nights when I was a stock trader. I did the European shift and the Asian shift. And yeah, it wrecked me. So I'm impressed that you're able to do that. Paul says, yes, an Indian crypto exchange was hacked on the 18th of July by North Korea. Yeah, it happens so frequently. And again, we can protect ourselves from that. Thanks for bringing that up. If we just keep our cryptocurrency in a self-custody wallet. So if you remember nothing else from what I shared today, please remember that. That's just a best practice to protect yourself. Yeah. Okay. So here is the link to Uniswap's platform. I just copied it into the chat. It's also going to be in the description if you're watching this video after the live is over. This is really important to bookmark because a recent scam in the cryptocurrency world has involved like fake sites popping up, phishing sites that will pretend to be decentralized platforms like Uniswap. And it's it's so heartbreaking when it happens. And what they'll do is they'll pose as Uniswap and they'll say like, "Hey, connect your self custody wallet to this site, to Uniswap's fake to a fake Uniswap site." And when folks do that, when they connect their wallets to those sites, they unknowingly give the site permission to drain their wallets. So it's really really difficult to recover your funds if this happens as well. So we want to make sure that we're protected from this. And a way to do that is to make sure you're going to the correct site. So yeah, literally what I do is just bookmark Uniswap's main site. Again, the link is in the chat. So that way I'm clicking on the bookmark. I know I'm not going to be rerouted to like a fake scam site that's trying to steal my money. So there's that. And this is what it looks like. And like UX is not their forte. As you can see, if you've never checked out a site like this before, it's not like it's intuitively designed. So the way we want to start whenever we're engaging with a decentralized platform like Uniswap is first to connect our self-custody wallet at the top. Here, it's on the top right. Let me make sure you're seeing that. Yeah. Okay. Yeah. So that's where, as I said, these scammers can take advantage of people because when you're connecting your self custody wallet up here, so I'm going to do that right now with MetaMask. You can see that Coinbase wallet self custody tool is also an option here. So if you create a Coinbase wallet, a Coinbase self custody wallet, you can use this to connect as well. So I'm going to use MetaMask. You can see that it pops a modal. I have several different addresses associated with this particular MetaMask account. So it's already pre-selected the wallet I'm going to use. And then I'm just going to confirm it. And that doesn't cost you any money or anything like that. You're just connecting your wallet to the website. The next thing we want to do is choose the network that we're going to use. It defaults to Ethereum here. So that's cool. That's what we want to use for this purpose. Okay. So hopefully you've already moved some Ether to your self-custody wallet. If anyone's confused about how to do that, let me know. But you should have that here showing up in your wallet as well. So if we look at this wallet, we can see that I have some Brett in this wallet, which has gone up a little bit. And I had some other stuff here that you can see. There are a bunch of seeds in this wallet. You can see that here. So in my case, because there are already seeds in this wallet, and there's a tiny amount of Ether, that's what you need to add liquidity to the seeds Ether pool. You need some of each of that pair of cryptocurrencies of seeds and Ether. And that's going to be true of any pool that you choose to add liquidity to. Like if we're talking about the example I cited earlier, where I showed you, again, I'll show you really quickly. When I got these results, I was adding liquidity to the Ether WBTC, which is Bitcoin, a version of Bitcoin, the Ether Bitcoin pool. Anytime you're adding liquidity to a pool, you need to add some of both cryptocurrencies in that pair. And without getting too technical, I'm already going longer than I intended, so I apologize for that. The reason for this is the folks who designed, it's really one guy, Hayden Adams, who designed, the founder of Uniswap, who solved this problem. He realized that in order to get around having to use rich people to provide liquidity for an exchange, in order to create this more democratic solution where anyone who wanted to could add liquidity to the exchange, like we're doing in this demonstration, he realized that the way to do that was to create pairs. And Ether was the like mediating cryptocurrency, which made sense because so many different cryptocurrencies have been built on top of the Ethereum network. So that way, if you're adding liquidity to the seeds Ether pool, and then later somebody wants to trade Bitcoin for seeds, they would end up making that trade, and the site would just take care of swapping their Bitcoin for Ether in the Bitcoin Ether pool. And then it would automatically swap that Ether for seeds in the seeds Ether pool. So that was an intentional and important part of the design that allowed this exchange to work in the first place. So that's the reason we have to add, like relatedly, we need to add a little bit of each cryptocurrency in a pair in order to become a liquidity provider, in order to LP and create a position. So if you already have seeds and ether in your wallet, you're cool, although you may end up wanting to like vary the amounts that you're choosing to LP. And in this wallet, I have a little bit of ether already and a bunch more seeds. But if you just moved ether into your wallet from a centralized exchange, then you're going to need to buy seeds. So what you would do is you would make sure you're here on trade. Oh, they've got new functionality now. It looks like you can make limit orders, which is more complex. So it looks like it defaults to swap. Um, they're changing these platforms and updating them continually, which is good. But the basic functionality has remained the same now for years. Okay, so you'd want to find seeds. And in my case, it's already there. I've already imported seeds as a token, but a lot of times you're not going to see seeds showing up immediately in this pull down menu. Anytime a cryptocurrency is not showing up, you can see here that it says search name or paste address. So we can paste the seeds contract address to search for this instead. If you don't know what the seeds contract address is, you can go to our FAQ and just look for it. So here is the seeds contract address. Starts with the digits OX, 0x. So I've copied that, and then I can go back to Uniswap's platform and just paste it in here, and then it's going to find seeds. Okay, so there are seeds. So depending on what you want to do, if we're doing the most basic version of LPing, um, you probably want to have a roughly 1-to-1 ratio in terms of value. So if you've decided that you'd like to LP $500 worth of ether, then you should also have about $500 worth of seeds if you're, again, going to opt for this more basic version of LPing. And I found over the years that I feel like I'm getting so technical in this, and I meant for this to be a pretty straightforward, basic demonstration. So I apologize. Um, oh, I'm sorry. Paul says, please. I'm so sorry, Paul. Thank you for letting me know. Okay, I apologize. So let me re-show you that real quickly. My bad. Yeah, so here on Uniswap, we'd already connected our wallets. What I just showed was that if we already have ether in our wallets, but you don't yet have seeds, you want to swap some of your ether for seeds. So you would select trade up here. It defaults to swap. And then you probably, if you're a beginner and you want to just take care of the most basic version of this, which I think is advisable when you're starting out, it's just less complex. Um, you probably want a roughly 1-to-1 value in each of these cryptocurrencies. So again, for example, if you've decided that you want to LP $500 worth of ether, you would also want roughly $500 worth of seeds. So you would enter whatever amount you're thinking. Look at that. That's $16 million now. I don't know, 0.3 or something. You can see here, I kind of wish it showed you this sooner. Hopefully you can see that. Yeah, looks like we're good. Um, so cool. Okay. Thanks, Paul. I appreciate you letting me know. I'm so sorry about that. Yeah, so you can see that as you start entering in amounts here, it then auto calculates the value, the current value of that cryptocurrency in US dollars. So it'd be nicer if you could just put in like 500 US dollars and then it would calculate that for you, but it doesn't do that yet. So yeah, you could play around with this and then it'll auto calculate the amount of seeds that you would need to buy. And then you're going to need to use, your wallet will automatically take care of this, but you would need to make sure that there is a little bit of ether in your wallet in addition to what you're trading in order to cover the transaction fee for this trade. So if we're looking at this here, you can see this little gas like or petro symbol. So this is telling us that the current cost to make this transaction is about $8.37. That's the estimated cost. It's probably going to be a little less than that. So that's the thing. I know Paul was asking about this recently on YouTube. Something that's really annoying about Ethereum's design, which has improved over the years, but it's been a challenge for people to deal with, especially when the cryptocurrency market starts going crazy, because this is a variable fee. So gas fees, transactions costs within the Ethereum network will change sometimes wildly in very short amounts of time. So if this is too high for you, and this is a little high for me, like I don't want to pay $8. Generally, I'm pretty, I never like paying for stuff that I think is just generally overpriced. I mean, I guess most of us are that way. So you can wait. You can see that this has already changed as we've been watching it, and it may get a lot better if you wait for a while. But when you need to execute the trade quickly, hopefully it's going to be, you want to make sure it's going to be worth paying that fee. I mean, yeah, this should be worth way more than $8 if I make this transaction. But yeah, just be aware that that is there. And you can adjust what you're willing to pay there. You can set various maximums within your wallet, maximums and minimums. But for the sake of keeping this hopefully a little less complex, I won't go into that here. So you would make this trade. I mean, I have like a tiny amount of Ether in this wallet. So you can see here, like it won't let me make this trade even though I'm using the balance amount of Ether, 0.003 that I apparently have in this wallet, because that doesn't leave enough to cover the gas fee as well. So I'd have to do like something like this or like this. And now because I have enough Ether to pay that gas fee available in this wallet, now it will let me execute this swap. If you click on swap, you would then have to confirm it here, but then it's also going to, let me make sure you can see that. You can't see that. So what's also happening is that my MetaMask wallet is popping a separate modal. I don't think there's a quick way for me to show you that in OBS. And I have to confirm the transaction within MetaMask as well. And it's telling me how much I'm going to send and what the gas fee is going to be and so forth. So yeah, that's where the transaction will be confirmed. I'm not going to do that because this is such a small amount of Ether. I don't want to pay that fee, basically. So yeah. Okay. So once you've done this and you have both seeds and Ether, probably in a roughly 1-to-1 ratio in your wallet, now you can go ahead and LP. So you want to click on pool. Thanks, Paul. That's nice. So, okay, once we're here, we want to click on new position. We're creating a new position, and then we want to select the pair. So in this case, we're looking at Ether and seeds. If you're watching this on the recording, the link to this page directly, specifically the Ether seeds page to create a position in the seeds Ether pool, like that's linked in the description of this video, so you don't have to search around for it. Okay, so again, in keeping this as basic as possible for this demonstration, we're going to select the 0.3% fee tier. It should auto select that for you. This is the only fee tier that is available for the seeds Ether pair. And what this means is that you're choosing to add to a pool in which traders will pay you a 0.3% fee for making trades in the pool. So this is what you're going to earn. You're going to earn 0.3% in transaction fees for every trade that's made using your liquidity. Okay, this is where we get into, you can make it more complex here if you want to do that, if you're more advanced. But if you want to keep it simple, which I would suggest if you're starting out, because we used to teach the more advanced way in the past few years, this more advanced method has to do with choosing to either use full range, which means you're adding your liquidity for every price that could possibly exist to infinity, as you can see here, for this particular pool, for the Seeds Ether pool. This is the simpler way to do it, and it's advisable because if you don't choose full range, it's advisable if you're a beginner, if you don't want to deal with issues that can come up with choosing a range, because it is possible to choose a range. Now we see that I've selected a different low price by moving this paddle down here. If you're moving the range around, that means you're choosing to add your liquidity specifically for that price range. So if I chose this range and then the price dropped below my low price, I would no longer be earning fees. So if you just choose full range, then you're earning fees everywhere no matter what. The benefit to choosing a narrower range, which is what I did when I showed you again that this example, I'll show you one more time. I made so much money here, with like significant profits, I would say. If it's I would nearly be doubling my money in a year. I was able to get these results in this particular pool because I chose a narrower range. Because when you choose a narrower range, it allows you to leverage your capital more efficiently. And in effect, that can mean that you could use $1,000 within a narrow range to make as much money as you would if you'd use $10,000 in a wider range. So that can be a cool, more advanced approach to take. But then what happens is that if you choose a narrower range again and it goes out of range, you're no longer earning fees. And then again, you have to pay a transaction cost, a gas fee, if you want to remove your liquidity and then add it back in a different range. And those gas costs can really cut into your profits. So I used to focus on teaching the more advanced narrower range approach, which obviously you can totally do. It's fun. I've found it to be very profitable. But if you're a beginner, you probably don't want to mess around having to deal with that, as we've learned over the past few years, because most folks that were adding liquidity to the Seeds Ether pool, they wanted the beginner option. They wanted to be able to use full range. So that's why I'm suggesting this. But of course, do whatever you want to do. Do whatever feels right for you. Okay. So if we've selected full range up here, then we're going down to the bottom and we're almost done. We can choose, like here it says max, but you can see that this is where the roughly 1-to-1 ratio comes in, because you might recall that in my wallet it said I had about $14,000 worth of seeds. So if I wanted to add 100% of that value, that roughly $14,000 worth of seeds, I would also need to have about $14,000 worth of ether in this wallet, plus a little bit more ether in order to cover this transaction fee as well. So I don't have $14,000 worth of ether in this wallet, so I can't create this particular position, but it gives you an idea. If I go here, so I have, like, again, a tiny amount of ether in this wallet. If I said, I don't know, like 2.5 or something, so I'm choosing an amount of ether that's slightly below what it states is the max of 0.003. Again, because I want to leave a little bit of ether to allow me to pay the gas fees to complete the transaction. So when I chose this, it auto calculated a comparable amount of seeds to allow me to create this position. So if I were going to move forward with this, I click preview and then I would click add. And then once again, just to reassure you, this is sort of another example of not great UX in the cryptocurrency world, because it can kind of be freaky because it looks like you're agreeing to this, but actually you have another option, another step to complete. Again, you can't see this. I apologize on OBS, but my wallet just popped a box to ask me to actually verify this transaction. So you can continue, you still have an option to reject the transaction up until you confirm it within your wallet itself. And in this box that it just popped, it's telling me what the estimated fee is. Now it says it's $12.66. And I don't want to pay that for like this tiny amount of ether, right? Like, it doesn't make sense to do that, to pay a fee that's actually a larger amount than the amount that I'm adding to the pool. So I'm going to reject that transaction for now. But again, because the costs are variable, that could change quickly. And if you're using a larger amount of money, 12 bucks might not matter to you. It could be totally worth paying that. So it depends on what you want to do and what the cost is at a given moment of time to make transactions on the Ethereum network. So that's it. If you've completed those steps, you've added your position. And then as a last thing, let me show you that if we come back here to pool, um, let me just make sure. Okay. Yeah. Paul's like, what the hell? So much fees. Yeah, it's so annoying. And because it's Ether's doing, it's the Ethereum network's doing. And yeah, like I said, it really has improved over the last few years, but it just created so many problems. Like was it late 2021? It was in 2021 when like things were going crazy in the last cryptocurrency market cycle. So prices had gone up a ton, and Uniswap had actually surpassed Coinbase's centralized exchange in trade volume, which was like this huge deal because it showed that people wanted to use decentralized tools. They didn't want to mess around with centralized exchanges like Coinbase anymore. And so it was really exciting, in my opinion. But what happened was that because gas fees were so ridiculous, people stopped using Uniswap so much. They started using the centralized exchanges again that typically they have like a flat trade fee. And so that was a huge hindrance. And so the Ethereum like core developers have been working on addressing this problem in various ways over the past several years. So hopefully it'll continue to get better. But it's one of, I don't know if I'd call it a design flaw, but it's definitely like an element of the design of the Ethereum network that needs to be improved. Tin Top's here. Hey, what's up? Um, I use LP to DCA into and out of positions. You don't get hit with slippage and earn fees. I'm not sure what you mean about how you use LP to DCA though. You mean you create positions to DCA? How does that work when you're doing that? Okay, so as a last thing to show you, once you've created a position, when you click on pool, you're just going to see it here. So this is an old position that I created using this wallet address a long time ago now. And if I had chosen the full range, that sort of basic example here, it could not have gone out of range. But when I created this, I chose a narrower range like we talked about. You can see that, right? Yeah. And as a result, at a certain point, it did go out of range, which meant that I stopped earning fees on this position. In a lot of cases, and I think this can be true in the Seeds Ether pool. I mean, hopefully you're drawn to becoming an LP in the Seeds Ether pool because you want to help people in need. That's like, that's how do I say this well? No other pool can do that. No other pool is doing that. It's only Seeds and Ether. And we've started calling it our mutual aid pool to kind of try and make that more clear to folks, especially if they're new to the sector. So that's, in my opinion, a huge benefit if you can do this to make money and help people in need at the same time. Um, but that said, in addition to helping people, you can get the various bonuses that I mentioned in the form of fees, like we talked about, airdrops, like we talked a bit about as well, and then also bonuses. So Seeds has a 50% bonus that we offer on a monthly basis. We're selecting one person each month. So that's why I did this today, because it's the last day of July. So it's the last day to be eligible for this for July. So it's a 50% bonus based on the amount of Ether that you add. So if you added $1,000 worth of Ether to the Seeds Ether pool and you were the winner, you would win $500 worth of seeds, for example. Yeah, so I'm sharing this because back when I was creating a position like this with a narrower range, I was doing it not only to earn fees, but also for these additional benefits. So in some cases, I didn't care if it went out of range. I didn't feel like paying the fees to remove the position and add it back. So it was worth it to me to just leave it. And, that could be true for some other folks if you're choosing a narrower range. But again, if you're just starting out and you want a more basic approach, you can just select full range and it'll never go out of range. It will always be earning you fees. So I don't know how important. Yeah, I will show you this real quick, I guess. Yeah, so you can see here, this was the price range that I chose at that time. I chose a min price and a max price. And you're earning fees in the cryptocurrencies that are being traded, right? So if someone is buying seeds with Ether, they're paying the fee in Ether to buy those seeds and vice versa. So you can see here that there are unclaimed fees that I'd earned on this position in both seeds and Ether. And then as a last point, again, at the risk of getting a bit more technical than I intended in this conversation, when you choose a narrower range, if and when it goes out of range, you're going to end up with 100% of one of the two cryptocurrencies in your pair. And by virtue of the design of Uniswap, it will appear to be the less attractive of those cryptocurrencies at that moment in time. Because basically what that means is like, if it goes out of range, somebody's driving up the price, the traders are driving up the price, and they're using one of the cryptocurrencies to buy more of the other cryptocurrency. And so it's going to drive that out of range. And then you're going to end up with 100% of the cryptocurrency that looks, I'm trying to like decide how much I should try to explain relating to this. Just know that if you choose a narrower range, if it goes out of range, you will end up with 100% of one of the cryptocurrencies in that pair. In this case, it was seeds for me. And at least at that moment in time, it's going to be what was perceived to be the less valuable of the cryptocurrencies in that pair. But that's constantly changing. Things can also come back into range, that can just happen. You can just wait, and sometimes that'll take place. So again, if you're sticking with that basic version, if we're going back here just to show you one more time, I'd suggest doing this if you're a beginner to simplify things. You can just select full range, and then it's never going to go out of range, and that like doesn't have to be a concern for you. So yeah, that's all I got, I think, for today. This went way longer than I intended. Tintop says, yes, you set up a one-sided V3 position, not full range, only up to the price you want to pay. Huh, I don't understand how that would work. I mean, I'm familiar with setting up a one-sided V3 position, but how is that DCAing? Because you're adding those funds in a one stop, right? You're adding the funds initially when you create the position. Do you mean you're adding to that position over time at different prices? Yeah, I'm not following. All right, y'all. Let me know if there's anything else you want to talk about or you'd like me to touch on. Looks like we're good. Okay. I hope that you are hanging out because you're interested in helping people in need through seeds, and that you'll consider adding to the Seeds Ether pool so that we can grow our mutual aid pool and help more people in need around the world. And again, the deadline for the July bonus is today. So if you want to get in on that, you should do it today. And hopefully you know how to do that now. All right, I'll let y'all go. Yeah, I'll probably be live again here pretty soon. I'm going live more often now because there's just like more going on in the cryptocurrency sector. And yeah, I guess that's all. I wish you well. Thank you so much for your time and attention. I really appreciate it. And I hope you have a great day.